Welcome back to another episode of Hi Haylee. This week, I sat down with Maciej, the Vice President of Strategy, Data, and BI here at Ascendex, and we discussed AI, having a strategy behind AI, and how important data is. So check it out. Brandon, welcome to Hi Haylee.
Hi, Haylee. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining. So first off, are you in a jersey today?
Yes, ma'am. So it's the NFL draft. One thing that anyone who knows me knows is that I'm very passionate about my sports and obviously the company I work for. And so it's a Randy Moss vintage jersey, the best wide receiver in Vikings history. So I figured I should don it all day as we prepare for the draft.
Spoken like someone from Minnesota.
That's right.
All right. So before we get started, can you share what your role is here at Ascendex?
Yep, absolutely. So I'm the VP, Strategy, Data, and BI. And along with that, also our Amplify team. And so from a data and BI perspective, I lead our team and I help clients or prospects think through what their strategy should be from a data and BI perspective and also AI. And then actually help them form governance around data inputs, how they use their platforms, and then leverage different warehousing techniques to make sure the data is clean and ready to be used in analytic platforms, whatever that might be for a company. And then on the Amplify side, that's our talent acquisition side of the house. And so clients will come to us looking for specific technical roles. And so whatever that might be, from an ERP to a CRM to a BI technical individual, we will go and search for those individuals so that the company can continue to do the good work that they do.
Awesome. Well, I ask all guests who join what show you're currently watching. So, share.
Yep. Shogun. So it's on FX. I love history. I think there's a lot we can learn from history. And probably why I like data and BI so much is obviously when we report all the data, and then you can leverage it to transform organizations. But this particular show, it's set in the 16th century in Japan, and it kind of follows a whole bunch of samurai leaders and kind of their journey and kind of the power for the battle for power, so to speak. So it's just kind of a war history type movie.
Shogun.
Shogun. It looks like Shogun, but
All right. So today we have a fun topic, one that we probably see all the time, and that is AI. So, Brandon, what are your thoughts on AI?
yeah, absolutely. As we've all seen, I think, especially in the mainstream media, AI is the top, one of the top trending topics and talked about thing that's happening in any industry. And so AI is not new, right? We've been using data and we've been using analytics to do some predictive modeling in the past. The advent of a lot of tools to help AI, like ChatGPT, etc., has kind of thrown it into the forefront. And I think there's a lot of anxiety with organizations that may think that they're not leveraging AI today. Maybe their data and their infrastructure is not where it should be to be able to really leverage AI and kind of more that predictive analytics. I think the main theme is every company is a data and AI company nowadays, and we have to think like that. And a lot of how I think about it is making a culture of a whole bunch of data stewards, right? And so we all use data, we all use platforms to make our days more efficient and effective. So you think about ERP, when I'm entering into an accounting platform, I'm entering data. If I'm in a CRM, Salesforce, I'm entering information. And if that information doesn't have policies, procedures, guidelines on how to enter it, if it's bad data, the output of an AI bot, right? If I'm talking about Copilot or anything, it will lead you down the wrong direction because the input was not valuable or it's confused in the back end, right? As soon as you take a computer and a model in the back end to look at the data set, it only sees the data. And so it's just trying to connect all the dots. And if we don't have a good warehouse and integration from platform to platform that can make sense behind the scenes, it's never going to go to fruition on the front end. I always talk to clients and prospects around like, have you ever entered on MapQuest or in Google Maps a destination? And all of a sudden you're going, and then it tells you, yep, you're here. And you're like, I don't know. I feel like I'm in a cornfield. It's because it didn't have potentially the right information to get you to where you needed to go. So that's the same kind of model in a simplistic way that AI could lead you down if you don't have the infrastructure established.
Yeah. So, how exactly would a company improve or even get started on a data and AI strategy?
Yeah, another thing I speak to a lot is a business strategy is your data strategy. And so if you're talking about my 3 to 5 year roadmap, where do I want to go as an organization? Growth trajectory, the markets I want to go to, the platforms I need. If one of the things you're not talking about is your data and what you want to drive with that data from an analytics perspective, you're talking about the wrong stuff. And so what the key I think is to many organizations is don't hold it as an IT project. It doesn't just belong to IT. Data is not just IT. Analytics is not just IT. Do we in the IT departments receive all that great information that you entered? 100%. But the end user, the stakeholders that actually leverage the data are in each functional area. You think finance, you think operations, you think your shipping department, even back over to your customers, they all consume what we present from an analytics perspective. So it's just really important to start with your strategy from a business and develop your kind of data strategy and your infrastructure within that process. Because if you don't, and you consider it a project, it's never going to take off and it's never going to be fully accepted across your organization.
Yeah. So, what are some data tools that are out there, data and reporting tools that are already out there that you can use?
Yeah, certainly. And so when you're thinking about, we'll start with platforms, right? So everyone has different tools that they're leveraging in an organization. So I brought up a few earlier, ERP, CRM platforms. You think about e-commerce, so the website. All these things are part of your ecosystem of technology. And they also all have different data outputs. And so we have to think about where do we get them from? So that's kind of part of this journey is what do I have from a tool set? What data is the output? And then understand how we're going to bring them together. So many times it's called a data warehouse, a data lake, etc. But how do we get a CRM data set to match up to an ERP data set, to match up to some operational information on the shop floor so it's cohesive, it's clean, and it's understood so that when we try to leverage AI and dashboards, it's actually leverageable to the end consumer. And so really, again, start business strategy, understand your infrastructure and your platforms that you're leveraging, make a determination on a warehouse. And there's Azure warehouses, there's a whole bunch of different warehouses that one could leverage. There's different ingestion tools that one can actually leverage. There's different data prep that we can use. And there's obviously data analytics platforms that we can use. One of my favorites is Click. I've used that for over 10 years. It's just a platform that does quite a few of these things I just mentioned. There's Power BI is super popular simply because it is a Microsoft-based platform. Most organizations are already leveraging some Microsoft technology. So to kind of leverage Power BI, it's the integration's super simple. There's Tableau, et cetera, et cetera. And if you can keep running down the list, and that's part of when you're thinking about your data and the platforms you want to leverage, that's why we start with what do you have today? Tie that to where you want to go in the future, and then making selections of your new platforms related to data and BI and AI. It becomes a lot easier than just kind of shooting from the hip. I would also contend some of the angst that companies and people in the IT world feel at a company is what do I use? What's the best thing for my company?
There's so many options.
Exactly. And so again, foundationally, talk about strategy, where you are, what industry you're in. There are different tools that work really well for manufacturing versus professional services versus financial industries. So understanding that, I would also say, if you have a team from an IT perspective, from a finance department perspective that have been at an organization for a long time and have never been through this type of technology transformation, don't hesitate to seek outside help, whether that is a consulting firm or whether that's someone else that has industry experience in this realm. Your decisions today for what you're going to implement and how you're going to leverage data keeps going for years and years and years. Does that mean you can never go back or add to it? I contend you should add to it. long term, start small, but start with an understanding of who you are as a company, and then bring in outside perspectives on what type of tools could be leveraged to be able to kind of help you with your transformation.
So with that being said, then how important is it that a company has a strategy around, data and AI?
I will, end with where I started, which is every company is a data and AI company. You will lose traction and lose to your competitors who are
Mhm.
leveraging good infrastructure and good AI capability, right? It's again, I'm not like trying to send fear out to the viewers, but you will fall behind at some point. We're not so far into this AI world that if you don't have a strategy today, you're going to fall behind. But it is a possibility, and it's not only to your competitors, but it's for your internal teams. You think about how you and I work outside of work, right? We have our phones, we have computers, we
Mhm.
have apps. And so as you're thinking about technology and analytics, it has to start to resemble how we live our daily lives. And so we all have information at the ready in normal day. So you have to have your technology stack resemble and be able to be easy to use when you go to work. Because, right, a lot of people don't like working in general, but if you are able to prop up tools, analytics on the back end to help them do their job more efficiently and effectively, what happens when you have all this great data and you're starting to leverage AI, you can then actually devote yourself to more innovation. And that's the whole
Mhm.
point of getting some more automation and prescriptive and predictive analytics is you now have the ability as a worker to innovate, think differently. And we should all be, bucketing out certain days of the week for an hour or two to really start to think like, what could I do or what can the company do in the future? And if you actually have a good strategy around data, you can now have that freedom to do that work. And that's the value, I think, of really great resources and talent on your team is sure, anyone can type, right? That's not your skill set. Your skill set isn't to pull a whole bunch of information into an Excel sheet. Your skill set is to use your mind and to make your processes better, the organization better, and start to think outside the box. And today, in many organizations, they don't have time, right? We're just doing the busy work, as everyone likes to say. And that's not our skill set as humans. It's to actually really apply what we've learned, what we think can happen in the future, and then actually execute it. But truly, an AI strategy and getting that locked and loaded over the course of a couple of years will truly help you really increase the value of all your resources.
Power of technology. And there's so much out there.
Yeah,
People will
absolutely.
learn that there are things better than Excel, which it's wonderful.
Precisely. Yeah. And I would, I guess I'll end on this too is change is scary. Change is hard, right? We all go through ebbs and flows. It can be really excited at first, and then you get into an implementation or a project and your excitement wanes and you kind of get low and then it comes back up. It is the responsibility of the organization and the leaders to keep the momentum going. I kind of
Mhm.
mentioned earlier, data stewards. Every single person in an org uses information, and people want to and need to want that data to be correct and to be leverageable by them so that they can make really great decisions. And so an organization from a leadership perspective has to really keep up the momentum, make sure people are collaborating and understand what's the outcome, right? A lot of what we always talk about on a day-to-day basis is what's the output? What's the output? What's the outcome of where we want to go in the future and what drives really great decisions. And so change management is a big thing that a lot of people talk about. It's a fluffy word, but
Mhm.
it really does need to be a part of your strategy and your data strategy plan to ensure that everyone understands what I'm doing on my platform and my ERP does impact what I can see in an analytics that then impacts what I'm driving as far as action goes for this organization. And so get people excited, keep the momentum going. Again, it's not a project. This is something that a team should be formed, especially around governance, to make sure I'm using the right policies, procedures, I'm inputting the right data to ensure that the data is clean and I can leverage it long term.
Data is powerful.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thanks for joining us today. It was a good conversation.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, like I said, I'd love to come back and get a little bit deeper on some of the data ingestion tools, analytics tools, data warehouses. I think that'd be a great evolution.
Love that. Well, we'll have you back on Hi Haley, but until then, thanks for joining.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.